Hey, what's up guys? This is Caleb with DSLR Video Shooter. Today we're going to be doing a gear review that I never thought I would actually do and really wasn't looking forward to for years, and something I never really wanted to do too. And that is a review of a Steadicam unit. I gotta come out and say I do not like Steadicams. I don't like glide cams. I just never was good at it. I've tried different units and just, what usually happens is I'll, get one to try, or buy one, and it's usually pretty cheap, and I'll go out and try to film with it, and I just end up like throwing it in the back of the trunk and like, screw this, I'm just gonna use a monopod or a tripod or a shoulder rig. And I can appreciate the shots you can get with them. There's some amazing stuff out there that you can achieve with a Steadicam, but just never was really good at it and really didn't have the patience for it. And I really stand behind the philosophy of, if you're going to be needing a lot of Steadicam shots in your project, go out and hire someone who does Steadicam for a living. There's guys out there that's what they've dedicated their careers for. They just, you get the guy in the Steadicam, he knows his thing, you tell him what you need with your shots, and he goes out there and does it and does a great job. So never was really a big fan of the idea of owning one myself, but that's starting to change because DE Cinema reached out to me and asked me if I would do a review of their X-PRO Steadicam unit, and I was a little hesitant at first just because I know I'm not very good at it, but they assured me, hey, I think you should still give it a shot. We'd love to, send one out to you to try, and so they sent it out to me, and I decided I'd give it a shot and was really impressed with their unit mainly, not in my skill. But their marketing behind this particular unit is that it's easier for people to use than a lot of other Steadicams out there. And I've actually found that to be true. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at everything you get with this kit. We're going to talk about usability a little bit, and then we're going to look at some footage and talk about some of the features of this unit. And I will say I didn't have a ton of time to get out and film with it. The weather here in Chicago has been freezing and nasty, and everything looks dead and slushy and salty. So I'm going to be doing some more footage and shooting with this in the future, so you guys can stay tuned for that. Hopefully things will warm up eventually and we won't have winter forever, and I'll be able to really get some nice stuff. But I did get out with it and learned a lot through the process. So enough talking, let's go ahead and start talking about the equipment. First thing you're going to notice is this thing comes in a really nice bag. You have a custom foam bag which holds the arm as well as the vest and some of the other parts. You also get a bag for the actual Steadicam carbon fiber tube and the weights and everything. So here's the actual Steadicam arm and cylinder here, and you can tell it's a little wobbly because I just put the camera on here, so I haven't fully balanced it. But it's just like a giant glide cam essentially. So you have lots of adjustable points. You have the handle, and what's unique is not only can you use it like this, but you can also obviously hook up with the arm and the vest. I'm wearing the vest because I wanted to make sure I had my mic set up. I didn't want to kill you guys on the audio front. So we have the vest here. You'll notice right at the bottom, there's no assembly too. You just literally latch everything on. Lots of points of adjustment to get this thing really snug and to fit you well. And as somebody who has a lot of family, and myself included, with some back issues, I really appreciated how well this was put together, as well as the lumbar support in the back, so you can get that thing nice and snug. And it's incredible, as someone who has a really long torso and some back issues, I noticed that it was pretty comfortable, and I was able to film and leave the whole thing set up for an hour and a half before taking it all off, and I was okay. So let's go ahead. I'm going to reach down, grab the arm unit, and this is the 2-stage. You can get one that has just a single arm, but then there's 2 pins at the base of this thing, and then you just slide this in here. 2 little pins at the bottom, and now you have your arm set up all ready to go. And obviously this is what provides the vertical stabilization as well as being able to move around. So there's actually springs in each of these arms, and these silver knobs, these aluminum knobs, are what you use to adjust the tension on them. So now I'm going to grab the entire unit here, and you'll notice it's still not quite balanced perfectly, but we'll deal with that in a little bit. And boom, there you have your full setup, and your goal is to kind of have this one arm be horizontal. And I'm not going to go through how to actually get this thing completely balanced. There's a lot that goes into that, and the guys over at Magnanimous Media have put together an incredible video on how to set up a Steadicam, and they go into the physics. You know, the guy that did the video actually does Steadicam work, unlike me. So I'm going to put that at the bottom of this video at DSLRvideoshooter.com. So you can check that out, and that'll go into the details of how to actually balance it. So it took me a while to get used to balancing it, but once you get it there, it is amazing what you can pull off. So next, let's talk about some of the features here. Obviously, the whole vest unit is really nice. It folds down to a very flat surface that goes into the top of the bag. You have the nice arms. The whole thing fits into the bag beautifully, and you're able to adjust the tension on those. Moving up here, we obviously can use it without the actual arms. And be careful with this guy, because this will get away from you. Actually, my wife did some iPhone videos while I was messing around with it, getting it set up, and you'll be working on something and it'll just get away from you. So be careful. Try not to, beat up anybody's needing to do drywall. You don't want to have to cause that for a client or someone's location. So nice handle, lots of space too on this. That's one thing I hated about that really cheap GlideCam Nano, I think it was, or wait, Flycam Nano, that's what it was. It had like 3 inches, and you could barely wrap 3 fingers around it. So a nice handle, and then you have a nice textured aluminum here that you can use for actually controlling the unit. And the other thing that's great about this whole thing is it's completely toolless. You don't need any tools at all to use it and to set it up. You have lots of knobs. These are ratcheting knobs, which are great. So now let's talk about the main Steadicam unit here. The adjustment points are great. So if we start at the top here, we have this aluminum silver plate with, we have centimeter measurements on here. And what you do is you just loosen up this knob right here, and then you are able to slide, I don't know if you can see that, forward and back to get the unit completely balanced. And then once you have that, you can lock it down. And then you also have side to side here, which moves in very slow increments, which is nice, or small increments, I should say, so that you can get that balanced nicely. And because the other coolest thing is this, actually this piece right here is the exact same dimensions as a stud on a light stand. So you can actually put this whole thing on a light stand or a C stand, which would be best, and then get it perfectly balanced so you don't have to deal with it on the actual arm itself. So moving down, you'll notice these 2 knobs down here. Each of them serves a different purpose. One allows you to adjust, the center of gravity here. So if you want the camera, obviously this is ridiculous, but just to show you, the weight's really low, or have the camera really high. And what this also allows you to do, and I haven't tried this yet, but I'm looking forward to giving it a shot, is setting it up so that the camera is actually on the bottom of the whole setup. So that way you could get really smooth, really low to the ground shots. So that's gonna be really cool, and I'm looking forward to that. So you have the up, down, and then the second knob down here adjusts, this extension area. So you can, bring it up here, so you have a nice tight area, or extend it really long. And the reasons for that vary, and you'll see that in that other video, but essentially it depends on the camera weight and what kind of shots you want to get. So let me play with this a little bit here. So yeah, there's a really short, stubby kind of a setup, which, isn't balanced because I've been messing with everything. So moving down, you're gonna notice there's actually a HDMI cord down here. And what's sweet, really cool, really cool, is on this particular kit, you have a small mini HDMI port right here. So you can run HDMI out of your camera into the port, and there's actually an HDMI cable that goes all the way down to the bottom. And then what you can do is replace this weight right here with an HDMI monitor. And then you just plug this puppy in, and then you have an HDMI monitor down here, which is really awesome. Sweet feature, really like that. And then at the base here, obviously the way I have it set up right now is the 2 weights, and these rails down here are actually just 15mm rods. So they're carbon fiber. This entire cylinder is carbon fiber, making everything a little lighter and easier to work with. So that's a lot of the features. That huge one of toolless is great because it takes a while to get this whole thing balanced, and can be difficult enough just balancing it, much less having to deal with Allen wrenches and stuff. When it comes to the actual weight limitations on this, you have up to 17 pounds that you can use, so you're going to be able to accommodate a decent amount of weight on this unit, which is great. And just a note on the top here, I've added a quick release Manfrotto 577 quick release plate. That way when I just lock the camera in, it's pretty close, so I don't have to keep fidgeting with where I mount the camera on the plate itself. The other thing about this unit is you can actually use it without your hands here. It takes a lot of practice, and as you can see, it can kind of get away from you. I just use the handle because I'm not a pro. And that brings us to actually the shots you can achieve with this. There's so many things you can do with Steadicam. I'm just going to talk about a few. Obviously, you can do a follow or a chase where your subject is following you or you're following your subject. And I went out with my wife, Cassie, who was awesome enough to let me just run around like an idiot and try this thing out. Another thing you can do, which is really cool, is kind of like a pseudo jib shot, which is thanks to these springs and these arms, you lower the camera or bring it all the way up, and then you just slowly raise the camera up. And you can get these really, really nice jib-like shots. So I still have a lot of practice and a lot of shots I want to try once the weather gets a little better. But I've been really impressed with this thing. It has kind of changed my feelings about owning a Steadicam, and I think this really could be a great option for people who are looking to possibly own one. So I'm thinking of wedding filmmakers, you know, if you really want to add some production value to your clients' products and whatnot, if you have a couple guys or a guy who, you know, would be interested in learning this, that could be a great asset. Or if you just do a lot of shots where you think you're gonna need a Steadicam, it could be a lot cheaper just to get one yourself to do a few shots versus hiring a Steadicam operator to come to your set and only get a few shots. So something to think about, and that brings us to price. This thing usually retails for around $1,200, but right now I believe it's around $1,000. And when you think about what a normal Steadicam costs, you know, that's really, really affordable. And at the end of the day, if I can do this, you guys can totally do this, because again, I'm not really the greatest when it comes to Steadicam stuff. So the fact that I was able to get this thing balanced and get some decent shots on my first run, that's not bad, I think. So in conclusion, pretty affordable, has some great features, it's toolless. I can use it, if Caleb can use it, you guys can use it. You can get some incredible shots that could really up your production value and really give you some freedom when it comes to camera movement. And it's really kind of changed my opinion and views on the Steadicam, and I think it might do the same for you. And I also appreciate D Cinema having the guts to send this to me, even after I warned them that I wasn't a very good Steadicam. So the fact that they alone, you know, were willing to do that really says something about them and their product. Check out DSLRvideoshooter.com for other reviews and tutorials like this one, and I'll see you guys online.